All right, let's just jump right in. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're zeroing in on a place that is, honestly, a massive land of extremes. I'm talking about a country where the fiery orange sands of the planet's oldest desert literally crash right into the Atlantic Ocean, and where ancient empires still kind of echo through modern cityscapes. We're talking about Angola, a place people often call Africa's hidden giant. So that brings us to the big question for today. How exactly did a land defined by centuries, and I mean centuries, of intense struggle become this undeniable cultural powerhouse in Africa? Well, as we unpack the material today, you're going to see that Angola's incredibly vibrant identity, its music, its art, its food, was quite literally forged in the fires of its own historical resilience. Section 1. A land of extremes, from rainforests to deserts. Now, to really get the people, we first have to understand the canvas they live on. Down in the southwest of the continent, Angola is absolutely massive. It's actually twice the size of Texas, and bordered by this stunning 1,650-kilometer coastline. Up in the northern Cabinda exclave, you've got these incredibly lush, green, tropical rainforests beating to a constant rainy rhythm. But then you head down to the southern interior, and boom, you're faced with dry woodlands and rugged highlands that are notoriously prone to severe droughts. These environmental extremes aren't just scenery, they are a daily challenge that fundamentally shapes how Angolans live and adapt even today. Section 2. Shadows of the Past. The Crucible of Colonialism. Okay, before we even touch the colonial era, we need to look at the majestic roots of the country's name itself. Angola actually comes from a royal title, Ngola, which is used by the powerful rulers of the Ndongo Kingdom. But the whole trajectory of that ancient kingdom violently shifted in 1571. That's when Portugal set up its first permanent colony there, making it literally the very first European colony in all of Africa. 3 million. For 300 years, Angola was turned into a tragic epicenter for the Atlantic slave trade. 3 million lives lost. To put that staggering number into perspective for a second, nearly 1/3 of all enslaved people forced across the Atlantic were shipped straight out of Angolan ports, mostly headed to Brazil. It's an unbelievably heavy, dark cornerstone of the nation's history. But here's the thing you absolutely need to take away from this. Angola's story is not just about subjugation. It is deeply, profoundly a story of resistance. Just look at Queen Zinga, for example. She's this legendary figure who spearheaded decades of fierce, unyielding resistance against Portuguese colonial expansion. Her legacy is proof that right from the jump, the Angolan spirit fought back. Resistance wasn't just a one-off moment. It was practically a constant state of being. Section 3. The Long War. Forging National Resilience. So, that colonial era that kicked off in 1571, it finally collapsed over 4 centuries later, in 1975. But independence didn't bring peace. Instead, it sparked a whole new crucible. Almost instantly, the country was plunged into a grueling 27-year civil war. And this wasn't just some localized dispute. It blew up into one of the deadliest proxy fights of the entire Cold War. You had the communist MPLA, backed by the Soviets and Cuban troops, fighting the anti-communist UNITA, who had the backing of the US and South Africa. It just completely tore the nation apart until the guns finally went silent in 2002. 15 million. By the time peace finally arrived in 2002, the nation was, it was shattered. Millions of citizens had been displaced, and the landscape itself was dangerously littered with an estimated 15 million landmines. I mean, think about that scale. It was an absolutely staggering physical and emotional hurdle for any nation to overcome. Section 4. The Rhythm of the People. A Cultural Explosion. Now, the source material uses this perfect little phrase to describe modern Angolan culture, a tapestry of 3 continents. Because of its incredibly complex history, Angola's modern identity is this brilliant, vibrant synthesis. It beautifully blends deep indigenous African roots with centuries of Portuguese colonial influence, plus this cyclical cultural back and forth with Brazil. It's a totally unique global mix. Honestly, if you want to understand modern global music or fusion food, you really have to look right here. And you can literally hear this resilience in their music, which is for sure the heartbeat of the entire nation. Take 2 totally different styles. On one hand, you've got kizomba. It's smooth, sensual, and the rhythm and dance have exploded in popularity worldwide. Then contrast that with kuduro. Kuduro is this super joyful, wildly high-energy electronic beat that is conquering dance floors all over the globe right now. Both of these styles come straight from the Angolan soul. It just shows how out of so much hardship came this unstoppable urge to move, create, and celebrate. But wait, this incredible fusion isn't just happening in the music studios. It's right there in the kitchens too. That three-continent tapestry totally comes alive on the plate. A daily staple you'll find is funge. It's this comforting, doughy side dish made from cassava flour that families typically share from a big communal bowl. And then, you've got the really unique regional delicacies, like katatos. What are katatos, you ask? Garlic-fried caterpillars. I know, it sounds wild, but they're surprisingly delicious and a perfect example of marrying local resources with historical ingenuity. It's so baked into the culture that even Angola's politics are completely infused with the arts. Check out this fascinating detail. Agostinho Neto, who was the country's very first president after independence, wasn't just a politician or a military guy. He was actually a widely celebrated poet. He saw literature and poetry as absolute necessary tools for liberation. For Neto, and for Angola as a whole, art, national identity, survival, and culture, they are essentially the exact same thing.
Section 5. The Giant Awakens. Stepping into the light.
So, carrying all of that immense cultural and historical weight, where does Angola actually stand today? Well, right now the country is navigating a massive, critical transformation. Economically, it is an absolute oil powerhouse, with petroleum making up a staggering 90% of its exports. But the leadership knows that banking on a single resource like that is a very dangerous game. They know they absolutely have to diversify to secure their future. And to their credit, that's exactly what they're doing. Under President João Lourenço, there's a huge economic pivot happening right now. They're projecting a 4.5% growth by 2026, specifically in the non-oil economy. This push is being driven by a renewed focus on things like agriculture and services, basically trying to tap into the actual land and the people, rather than just what they can pump out from beneath the soil. Now, we do have to balance this optimism with the facts on the ground. On the upside, you've got the Lobito Development Corridor, a massive $6 billion US-backed project designed to link the mineral-rich heart of Africa directly to the Atlantic. Total game changer. But on the flip side, everyday infrastructure remains really fragile. The country is still dealing with deep vulnerabilities, like the devastating April 2026 floods in the Benguela province that left thousands in a highly precarious spot. So the horizon is bright, but there are for sure some serious hurdles. Despite those hurdles, the big picture narrative is unmistakable. Angola isn't a hidden secret anymore. Its incredible resilience has allowed it to survive literal centuries of exploitation and war. And today, it's emerging as a major regional power broker and a really critical global partner in the energy transition. The hidden giant has, without a doubt, finally stepped into the light. Which leaves us with this final kind of provocative thought to chew on. We've seen how centuries of intense struggle forged Kizomba, Kuduro, and this unshakable national identity. As Angola rapidly reshapes its economic future and connects even more deeply with the rest of the world, what other global cultural movements will this resilient, hidden giant inspire next? It's going to be a fascinating space to watch. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.